Well, welcome everybody to the last warm-up session of these pre-hackathon sessions, of course. Today we will review some things, especially we have here Cesare, which is going to be one of your mentors. I will go and introduce him a bit better in a second, but first let me go and tell you a couple of things before we begin. So let me share with you some slides. Hope you can all see this. But thank you very much. Thank you for coming. As you know, we already did two other sessions that we were discussing the other aspects of this main event. Now we would like to discuss also a part of the things, the topic that we have in question, also some things regarding logistics. So remember, we will be posting more updates in these channels in case you still don't follow us, and using the Hack for Truth hashtag. Here again, can we say like, can you raise your hand as I call you, Danatara? Is there anybody from your team here? There you go. Cluster. Cool. Radar? How about Echo Breaker? Ooh. Gecko. Cool. France and Portugal for the win. Meta and NGO. Nice. Sunflower. The fact-checking foxes. Nice. Dyspoxia. Great. And Democracy Defender. Wonderful. So there's somebody from each team, so that's very good. So as you already received now, finally logistics are done. Finally, you have all of this information on your email. So this is the name of the hotel, the name of the street, the check-in and check-out date, and the important thing for all, please, during the whole show, do remember to keep your ID, especially to enter the Council of Europe, as you will have to check in and they will give you a badge. So just consider this. I mean, it's a nice walk from the hotel to the venue, but you can also take a couple of stops from the hotel. That said, I wanted just to review very quickly with you the things that you have done already, the ones that you will do soon. The concept note was what over 280 teams from all over applied, and we selected 11 ideas. So yours is one of them. Now you're working on the deliverable one, which is idea pitch, which you should be able to deliver in a couple of days. So on the 18th at 12 p.m. And then this is what you're going to be showcasing in front of an audience. So I'll go deeper into that. The next deliverable, the one that you still don't have access, but you can already start reviewing the material, will be produced, of course, right after the pitches. So we will do the first deliverable. Then once we move to a different room, you will have access to the next deliverable. You start working with the mentors. So yeah, just for you to remember, please test your skills, your speech skills. If you want only one of your teammates or a team leader to speak in front of the audience, perfectly fine, acceptable. If you want to divide between two of you or three of you, just try to really time yourself on this matter. Then as well, just remember that after these 3 minutes, we will move to the very next team, so please consider that. Do time yourselves. Then the second deliverable, we will be basically participating into a Dragon's Den competition, or maybe some of you know it as a Shark Tank. It depends on which country, the different name, but what is going to happen is that you're going to have basically 5 teams to present your idea following the criteria that has been given, and then we will be giving you the right template for you to work. So it's very important that ideally what you need to understand is what you're going to present as your pitch is your concept, now clean with the notes that the mentors gave you, and then during the show we will be working on those in order for them to see the arc of change that you have presented during the entire show. So you will have 5 minutes for presentations and then 2 minutes for Q&A with the judges. So consider that. Unfortunately, here is where you will have to either close at exactly at 5 minutes or they will remove the microphone from you. So everybody needs to understand this bit. Then the jury also needs to be very precise with the questions. Only 2 minutes is not a lot, but ideally they have a very good set of questions. Right after that, you will be asked to move to the side, and then all of the teams will present. Well, this is the end of the show. Now, let's see. So yeah, now I'm gonna leave you with Cesare. But before I said that, Maya would be your other mentor in the show, Maya Capello, which is the head of the Department of Legal Information at the European Audiovisual Observatory at the Council of Europe. She unfortunately cannot attend today, but she will be doing the show. So anyway, they will be introduced to you during this event. But allow me then to introduce to you to Cesare Pitera, which is Directorate General of Democracy and Human Dignity, Freedom of Expression, and Steering Committee on Media and Information Society Division. So the floor is yours. I'm gonna remove my video, but please, if you need anything, just let me know. Just say, I'm here.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you, Ugo, for the introduction and the clarification once again on the steps for the hackathon next week. First of all, let me congratulate you for reaching this stage. I had the opportunity to look at your proposals. And I have to say they are all very interesting, very ambitious, and significant in terms of potential contribution to the objectives of the hackathon. So without further ado, let me dwell into my presentation of the criteria for legal and policy compliance. Before getting into the criteria, let me clarify something. Those criteria were actually drawn up without really knowing the type of products that you would propose for the hackathon. So they're quite generic, and rightly so, because unfortunately legal compliance is an extremely technical exercise that probably needs to happen at the point in the development of a product that comes a little bit at a later stage and with a very clear idea of what the product is. So this is to say that these criteria are very general, and hopefully they will guide you into fine-tuning your proposals for the hackathon. So the first set of these criteria are relate to human rights safeguard. The hackathon, as you know, is organized by the Council of Europe, which is the main European intergovernmental organization whose founding values are human rights, the rule of law, and democracy. So it comes to no surprise that a first very important criterion to assess compliance, so to say, or alignment, is to what extent the product that you propose, that you promote, aligns with the standards and takes into account human rights in its conception and future deployment. So the first step in order to do that is the identification of what are the potential impacts of the products that you intend to deploy on human rights, with specific attention to two human rights, which are, on the one hand, freedom of expression, which encompasses also the right to receive information, and more and more also is considered to encompass a sort of right to reliable and pluralistic information. On the other hand, the protection of data protection, which is a concern that is, of course, very much present whenever the digital environment is concerned, as we know very well that basically the digital economy is a data-driven economy, and this raises protection of personal data and privacy of users. So the first step is to, of course, both of these rights are founded on the European Convention on Human Rights, which is the most important human rights treaty in Europe. Most of you might have heard of it. It has also a system, a very advanced system of judicial oversight by the European Court of Human Rights, which is right across the streets from where I sit. And Article 10 of the Convention protects freedom of expression, and Article 8 of the Convention protects the right to private life, which encompasses also the right to privacy and the right to the protection of personal data. Of course, these are only the foundations. Then the Council of Europe have developed standards in this field through binding instruments such as the Convention 108 Plus on the protection of personal data in the case of data protection, and a certain number of non-binding recommendations of the Committee of Ministers in the realm of freedom of expression, especially when it comes to the digital environment. So what you're expected to do is not to have an in-depth knowledge and assessment of all those instruments, but just to show how you have reflected about the implications for these human rights of your project. So first step is to identify the potential impacts, in the positive and the negative, and envisage concrete measures to further assess and mitigate the risks for human rights that may arise from the product that you propose. Of course, when we talk about disinformation and content control, moderation, oversight, it's very important to identify how to avoid overreach of these instruments. Overreach both in terms of excessively interfering with freedom of expression. Here you have collateral censorship as an example, but other examples may be, for instance, how to avoid that, for example, the quest for pluralism in information or reliability of information, in fact, results in drawing the attention to sources that are not actually reliable or pluralistic. And of course, overreach is very important, and this I want to underline because I think this is one of the underlying themes for your almost all of your proposals. The procedures for the collection, storage, and transferal of data, and in particular personal data, is a primary concern. Slide, please. On a more positive note, you will also be expected to explain how your proposal aligns with the values and the standards of the Council of Europe. We have identified three areas. The first is the promotion of information integrity through positive measures. So through measures that enhance the resilience, the capacities in society to deal with and engage with information in the digital environment. And this includes media literacy, user empowerment tools, and tools that facilitate diversity and reliability of content. The second is the alignment with core values of the Council of Europe and how if there is alignment with the fundamental principles that apply to human rights horizontally, that any interference should be based on the law and should be proportional, if any, to the goal that it wants to achieve, and how also it aligns, promotes user rights. Third, the third point is very important, and it's transparency and accountability. And this applies especially when your proposal requires or envisages the deployment of artificial intelligence tools, automated tools, to operate, let's say, in on a user interface or not. So it's very important. The Council of Europe last year has approved the first potentially global treaty on artificial intelligence and the use of artificial intelligence and its compatibility with human rights, rule of law, and democracy. And two basic principles that underpin the treaty are the principles of transparency, which include also explainability and accountability for the deployment of such tools. So you should be ready to explain how, and of course these are all interlinked issues. So it's also in this case it's a human rights impact assessment if you want, but it's specific to the impact assessment of the deployment of AI and other algorithmic tools. So you need to be ready to explain what are the safeguards that are built into your system to avoid that these systems have adverse impact on the rights of users and on society as well, if relevant. And slide. Here we have also added some slides on an instrument which is not from the Council of Europe, is from the EU. So far I have mentioned Council of Europe instruments, but of course these instruments also are the source of inspiration in some case, or in any case share basic values with other regulatory tools that have been elaborated and adopted in the framework of the European Union. You might have heard of them, the Digital Services Act, the AI Act, and other pieces of European legislation that as such do not apply to all Council of Europe member states, but only to EU member states, but anyway set a sort of important bar or source of inspiration, so to say, that for regulatory approaches that goes also beyond their scope of application in the European Union. In particular, here we have extracted some principles from the Code of Practice on Disinformation that was developed as a self-regulatory instrument for the industry for platforms, and then revised in 2018, and lately has been integrated in the core regulatory framework of the Digital Services Act. So these are also sort of criteria that can guide you to see what can be the assessment of your product. So one objective of the Code of Practice of Information is to ensure the integrity of the services and limiting permissible behaviors. Among those is, of course, the creation and use of bots, fake accounts, malicious deepfakes, coordinated malicious behaviors, lack of transparency, paid messages and paid political advertising, and so forth and so on. A second, as I mentioned before, it aligns with the standards of the Council of Europe, is the transparency that is necessary in case of use of artificial intelligence systems by platforms in this case, but this principle also may also inform your own activity for your own products, and we can move on. Here we go to a second set of characteristic that may fall within the let's say also the second criteria that I have explained before. So these are examples of what we have called in our criteria like positive measures, empowerment measures. Of course, media literacy, capacity to engage critically with content and to develop tools to pre-bank and debunk disinformation is one very important concept. Tools that enhance the safety in the design of services and platforms, any tool that would better equip users to identify disinformation, tools that would give to users functionalities to identify, flag harmful and misleading information, and have easier access to a transparent appeal mechanism in case of problems. And slide. So here, well, this was the part that was meant to be presented by Maya, so I will take her place. But she thought that it could be useful to kind of give you a sort of checklist in the phase, in the development phase. These would include that your goals and principles are clearly defined, that you indicate how your product empower users, how it promotes critical understanding of the media and information ecosystem, how the development has taken into account inputs from stakeholders, civil society organizations, other actors, whenever relevant and appropriate, and to what extent your product is based on existing and its let's say, contribution and its usefulness, necessity to tackle an existing problem is based on existing evidence, and finally, to what extent it's an inclusive, ethical, and accessible to all tool. And slide, please. During the delivery phase, you need to be transparent about the project intention process and about its funding. Where do you think that where if you have investors already in your project, if you already have collected, I've seen that some of the projects basically are already developed, maybe not fully, but so transparency about funding and disclosure of possible conflict of interest is important. You need to be also be prepared to have pilot phase before the deployment on a larger scale, benchmark the competences of your audience to better tailor your tool, and ensure that resources that match these competences or lack thereof are in place. Finally, it's very important, and you well know better than I do, since you are the tech people, you know that adaptability in the digital environment is a key. It's a fast moving environment, and the design, the conception and design and deployment of a product is often based on a certain amount of assumptions. So you need to show that you're open to test those assumptions and to be ready to readjust your direction if needed, and be able to do this. Be ready and able, willing and able to do that. And slide. And this leads you to a phase of reviewing your project, and where you have to be enduring, meaning look forward and indicate how a longer term perspective for what you propose, how this is scalable, and how its usefulness can be extended. What is the projection of your outputs in the longer term, and how the resources that you are mobilizing can have a longer life, and not limited to the realization of one project as such. Finally, the evaluation, the assessment and evaluation that was the starting point of our discussion is not a one-time thing. Assessment and evaluation is a cycle that needs to be in place throughout the life cycle of your products. So you will need to show that you have a reflection on and built in, let's say, processes to reflect, share, and evaluate the impact of your project, the lessons learned from it, and how this has had an impact on your target community and your users and target users. Slide. That would be all for me. And of course, if you have questions, we're here for another half an hour to address any concern you may have on this legal and policy compliance part of the assessment.
Thank you very much, Cesare. Thank you all. Now, if anybody has a question, can you please raise your hand? Always just the last two sessions, it took a while for them, but then some questions start pouring in. But maybe it's all very clear and dusted. But let me know, guys. Anybody has a question?
I mean, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ugo, that this is not a like a moment to talk about individual projects, right? That would happen next Friday. So, but if you can relate to what was said and have doubt and need to understand what is expected from you, and of course I'm not part of the jury, so I cannot anticipate what will be the standard of the jury, but I see there is a question from a fellow Italian.
Yes. Yes, hello. Thank you very much for this presentation and for the information given. I just have a quick question. I was not present at the previous webinars, unlikely, so maybe this is something that was already said. So please excuse me if this information was already available. But I am not sure, like the first deliverable that is due in 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Does it need to include also all these sort of legal compliances of our project? Or is it something that we would need to only address on the day of the hackathon itself? What would you advise us to do? Because given that we have, again, a very short amount of time, because it's the first deliverable, it's like 3 minutes, right? So I was wondering, do we need to include all of these compliances, or is it better to leave it for the second deliverable? What is your advice?
So, as you know, you all been selected from a large pool of concept notes were sent from a lot of many great crazy places. So we already believe that your ideas are very, very good as they stand. Now, you do have the starter kit, you have access to all of the criteria. On top of that, all of the mentors have provided insights, they have provided other presentations, even videos are there. So yes, ideally you need to start considering all of these things. I mean, it might be that your first deliverable is getting so close to your final deliverable. That's, of course, is the best case scenario, that you already have something that is so good that you eventually actually just need to tweak a bit at the end. But the final deliverable, as a proof of concept, it's more dedicated to really understand the problem statement and the solution offered. So my suggestion is to make it clear and clean. You're not going to have a lot of time to speak about every single angle of this for the first deliverable, and it's designed that way. A hackathon is always supposed to be a little bit stressful, and it's supposed for you to work, and then finally present the final deliverable. But definitely pay a little bit of consideration to everything, I would say.
Okay. If I may add to this, Ugo, I'm not an expert, hackathon expert. The hackathon expert is Ugo, so his word carries more weight. But from my perspective, and I think what should transpire since the beginning is that you are aware of the possible issues that may arise. You don't have to provide technical solutions to everything. That is well beyond, the possible scope of a 1-day exercise or a 3-minute speech. It's not what, but I would say if you want to, the chair of the jury will be the SG of the Council, the Secretary General of the Council of Europe. Show that you have thought about what are the human rights implications and the human rights risks of what you're doing, and that you have them well in mind, and then you will look for solutions, and you will, you will have time at a later stage within the hackathon or after the hackathon to deal with those issues.
That's totally on point. I would suggest to remember that you are a team, and ideally you will have to go. Each one of you will have to take a street and try to build something, but you cannot do it all at the same time. So hopefully, all together, you can understand who has the skills for doing a particular task. But we understand as well that it's not a 1 week event. That's why we're having these preparation sessions. But we want to get you stressed out and get something out of you.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
I disagree. I don't want you to stress out, guys. I'm against stress.
In the level of they will have to showcase the level of commitment as a team, like put it all together. I'm pretty sure you're gonna do a great job.
Thank you so much for your answers.
Sure thing. Anybody else have other question? Well, you maybe think about something else. I'm just gonna go again to the Dragon's Den competition. Remember, for the second deliverable, you will have 5 minutes to present your final deliverable, your proof of concept, and then you will the jury, a fantastic jury, I would say, as Patricia just mentioned, will have 2 minutes to for questions and answers. Then after that, they will excuse themselves for a while and deliberate. But remember, 5 minutes plus 2 of Q&A. So after you finish, after you do the pencils down, I would recommend for you to do again a testing of your speech and chrono your time, because after 5 minutes, we will remove the microphone, unfortunately. Any other question, guys? All right.
So if I may add like a last word, Ugo, just another word of advice. You also have to take into consideration that your jurors will not be technical people. Most of them, I don't know, probably none of them, maybe 1 or 2. So you need to reassure them about, people who are not like myself. I'm not a tech person. I mean, I do policy on tech, but I'm not a tech person. So people who are not tech persons may be, worried about certain technical aspects and the risk that they can carry, but not necessarily grasp completely the technical aspects of it. So, my suggestion is, when you think about, those risks, try to, give the message, we have thought about it, we know this is a problem, we have a solution, you don't need to explain the solution, we will find a solution if we don't have it right now, because we know that this is a problem, a risk, whatever. Okay?
Thank you very much. Again, just one last little thing I sent anyway in your email. Do the check-ins, please don't forget. And carry your ID with you at all times. There might be issues if you don't bring it. Also to the Council of Europe, I'm not have to say that you have to do the check-in in the hotel, but you could carry it very likely over there. But at all times, your ID. And you have now, all of you, the logistics. Finally, 2 days, actually 1 day and a half, for you to deliver your presentation, your first deliverable. Some of you already completed the task. Very good. So if you're already done with it, test your speech, chrono your times, and we're looking forward to it. Remember, you're going to be introducing your idea in front of 300 people at the European Council of Europe. So good luck with that, and we'll see you in Strasbourg. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.